Surprise! The Mario Movie 2 title has been announced. We know it's called Super Mario World, but what does that mean for the movie?
Yes, they had an oopsie. I don't think this was meant to be revealed now, but it is a small piece of information. Oh, it's the title of the movie, but there's a lot that you can take away from that. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited about this.
I screamed, literally, when I learned this information. I'm the world's biggest Super Mario World fan.
Your favorite game ever, right?
My favorite game ever. I'm wearing the sweatshirt.
Wow.
I'm so excited, but you're right. It is sort of, on the surface, it can be this kind of smaller reveal, but it actually can mean quite a lot for the second movie and give us a lot of clues into what is happening. And I think the reason why Nintendo didn't want them to announce the movie title right now is these reasons. So we're going to talk about it right now.
Yeah, so let's talk about what happened. So yesterday, NBC Universal, who is like the parent company that owns everything, the big megacorp that's actually putting out this movie, they put out a press release as part of this thing that's called the upfronts. And the press release talked about pretty much all of the big initiatives they have coming into the future. And you might be asking, well, what is an upfront?
Yes.
And
I had to look this up too.
It's something that's very entrenched in the entertainment business, specifically like TV and movies. And it's really an opportunity to start to sell ads to potential sponsors. And you will often see they're having big, lavish events. They're having the stars, really talk up. We're both big Daredevil fans. Disney was having an event where they had Charlie Cox out to talk about the new season of Daredevil. So this is like a big thing across all of entertainment. And they want to get the advertisers excited about all the stuff that they have coming out.
It's called Show Me the Money. Or follow the money, or that's what the money is for.
Right.
All of these things are meant to sell an advertiser on why this thing, this film, this TV show, whatever, is going to be a big success. And you got to get out there and do that work. So it isn't a really interesting thing, but they do put a lot into this. And I can see why they want to put their like best and brightest, stuff that they have coming out at the front of that. And of course, the original Mario movie went on to make $1 billion. And so, of course, they want to put that like shiny gold star as a marquee thing for these advertisers to like buy ad spots. So,
right.
For sure.
So they put out this big press release as part of the upfronts. And like, this is a very long press release that has a lot of different, it's like, here's what we're doing on TV. Here's what we're doing in sports. Here's yada, yada. And they had a section about all of their movies, talking about all of their upcoming movies. And kind of buried in this list, it says Super Mario World. The title for this section is Blockbuster Hits, including Wicked for Good, Jurassic World, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2, streaming exclusively on Peacock following the theatrical release. So that's obviously the hook for the advertisers, which is like, hey, these movies, they're going to be hitting theaters, but then they're going to be on Peacock, and there'll be opportunities to advertise around those. And isn't this a great slate of movies? So I don't know how people catch this stuff. People spot this immediately. Like I'm reading through every line of this NBC Universal corporate press release, but they saw this. They saw, oh my gosh, Super Mario World. That's not the name that we thought this was going to be, and started talking about it. It's since been removed from the press release. So we have a before and an after version here. It's exactly the same, except Super Mario World is no longer included. Oops.
Nintendo, oh boy, they big mad.
They got
they're like calling Chris Meledandri, like, take it down.
Yeah,
they're mad. They are upset.
I was wondering why not. Obviously, the movie's been announced. We know the movie's coming. There's a date for the movie. Why not just say, the next installment in the Super Mario Brothers movie, or the next Super Mario Brothers movie? Why not just do that? And I think you're right that Nintendo saw this and said, hey, we didn't talk about this. This was not our plan to reveal this name. Just get it out. And it's like,
down.
Oh my gosh, at this point, we're not going to try and negotiate with Nintendo to even mention this. We're scared. We're freaked out.
Sorry. We're so sorry. We're so sorry.
Just cut it and get out of there.
Please forgive us. Please.
Now I have a bone to pick with NBC Universal, because why is the sequel to this movie that made $1 billion buried in this list of movies and not called out? Why is Five Nights at Freddy's called out over the Super Mario Brothers movie? Why is it listed after the Phoenician Scheme? What is this? That sounds like some direct-to-video nonsense.
The Phoenician Scheme
What
is
is that?
The next
I
Grand
don't
Budapest
care.
Hotel Wes Anderson movie.
I don't
So it's
care.
kind of a big deal. Anyways,
It's buried in this release. I'm mad about that.
so listen. So I think
I'm listening.
I think that like maybe they did tell, or there might have been some, like there's some sort of miscommunication. Maybe that there was some kind of knowledge that, you know, we're putting out this release. It's tied to this, you know, upfront stuff. We're gonna call out the Mario movie. You won't be in the headlines, so we're not going to step on any of the other plans that we might have to announce more details with Mr. Miyamoto at some point. We know that this is coming out. This release is coming out like weeks before your next console, so we don't want to like, you know, step on toes or whatever. We're trying to like navigate this with you. This is what Universal's saying to Nintendo in my imaginary meeting here. And so I believe there was some knowledge of this, but I think there was some miscommunication about what exactly they're going to be calling the movie. And of course, they could have easily said the next Mario movie or the second Mario movie or whatever, but there was a miscommunication and they just like slapped the title in there. But I do think Nintendo was like, don't make a big deal out of this right now. We got other stuff going on. We don't want distractions right now from the Switch 2 stuff.
Well, that's one possibility, but again, this is the company that did a Nintendo Direct a week before the other big Nintendo Direct. So
well, they had a reason for that. They had they had some connective tissue between the Switch
fine.
1 and the Switch 2. This one has
Let me give you one more scenario, which is we've seen this before where these big press releases could be handled by a different team that are handled by versus like the day-to-day contacts for all of these movies. So it's like, okay, this team's handling the upfronts, they're going to handle this press release. And again, this is a buried tiny detail in this. So it's like, did this get routed to every single movie team, every creative team, or was it just like, oh, this is what it says on this sheet that I have and I'm going to write it and we're going to put this out? Like we've seen that happen before, and it's like it's a small detail. It's the title of the movie. That the movie's already been announced. Like, why do we need to put this through the ringer? We got to get this out. The upfronts are happening. The advertisers want to spend the money. Like, we've seen this happen.
There's so, I mean, the list of brands included in this press release is probably like 50 plus big franchises, big brands,
right,
that all have their individual teams working on it, outside people that need to approve these things, like whatever, like you name it. This is probably the most complex press release you'll ever have to route for approvals, which is a thing that happens with press releases. And I'm sure there was a big Excel grid of upcoming stuff, and someone was just copy and pasting the titles into the thing. But, you know, in terms of like Nintendo's knowledge, I feel like they had knowledge of this happening. They were told that they were going to be included. No one did a check on the official title,
just not the title,
and didn't put the pieces together that like, oh wait, this title, if we reveal it, means so much more than we think. This person working the press release probably doesn't even know anything about.
Look at it. Now you got jerky Nintendo YouTubers like us making a 30-minute video about this.
It's so fun.
So let's look at what we what we did already know about this movie, because this is not the first time that we heard about this. This got confirmed as part of Mario Day 2024. So for over a year, we've known this is coming. They even, like I said, they included a release date, April 3rd, 2026. And something that I had to go back and double check was I was under the belief that at that time it was just, you know, Super Mario Brothers Movie 2, but they did not even include a title for that at all. They just said a new animated film based on the world of Super Mario Brothers. So that's kind of interesting. And I had just made the assumption of like, oh, well, that's the name of the movie and they're just slapping a 2 on it. They didn't even do that at all. And Mr. Miyamoto, in the very short video that they did for Mario Day, said, this time we are thinking about broadening Mario's world further. Oh.
Interesting choice of words.
Interesting to go back and look at that now.
Wow. The breadcrumbs, people. Yes. This is exciting. Yeah, I think that, we all made the assumption, like these kind of video game movies, it's like the Sonic movie, the first Sonic movie, the second, you know, it's like you just kind of, you know, sequentialize, is that a word? These things. But really interesting that, even in the beginning of this, it seems like the idea that it is called Super Mario World is a big deal. Like there's a reason why they didn't include even like a
Yeah.
temp title.
Otherwise, they would have told us.
Exactly. There's a reason why his choice of words, Mr. Miyamoto's choice of words were his choice of words. It's because that this title has a lot of like bigger implications on the movie plot, the movie scope itself. And it actually kind of reminds me of the time when we didn't know the final name for Tears of the Kingdom. Remember that? Where
Yeah.
the original name, or the one of the names of Tears of the Kingdom, was supposed to be Tears of the Dragon.
Yes.
And they were
Good
like
callback.
very cagey about, to us. We were working on the game. They were very cagey. They were like, the title of this game, we can't tell you. It's like this big secret. It kind of spoils the game.
Right. Metroid
And
Dread is another example.
Metroid Dread is another example.
About the title of like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, when you know this, it's going to change everything.
It's going to change your life. Like it's literally going to change the way you perceive this thing. And with if people find out the name of Metroid Dread or Tears of the Kingdom, we will spoil them on like the sort of the plot of the game, the big reveal of the game. So I kind of get the feeling that they were thinking along the same lines with this movie title, where it's like, this movie title is so revealing, we can't even hint at what it possibly, we're gonna like do a little tease. Mr. Miyamoto's out there doing his cute little Miyamoto thing, teasing it with a choice of words, saying things like, expanding broadening Mario's world. But like, this is a huge surprise that we want to preserve for fans when we finally reveal the details. And then whoopsie, it was just in this press release. So
Yeah.
I'm sure they're a little bit miffed about that.
Yeah, and I think also, the first movie was Nintendo's big foray into entertainment. I think they wanted to kind of feel it out a little bit, which is maybe why they were okay with a more generic name. Like honestly, like that's a very boring name. The Super Mario Brothers movie. Like,
hey, gets the point across.
Cannot get more generic than that.
The Minecraft movie, the Sonic movie, it's fine.
Right. So it seems to work for them, but it is a little bit bland. But now that movie was such a big success, I think they have bigger aspirations. They're like, okay, well, we're definitely doing more of these. And we can start, and this is going to be a big franchise for us in the future. So we can start to put kind of a more creative spin on this, knowing that this is probably not going to be the last one either. There's going to be more to come after this as we build out this universe and this world in movies.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I think that they're getting even more comfortable with the creative control of how they want to, market these things and talk about these things. And again, the first time we could tell that Nintendo, there was some deference to the experts at Universal. There was a lot of trust in that team to do their job because they know how to market movies. But now that they've had like a very positive experience, and they had some really wonderful success with the first movie, you can see them getting a bit more confident too. And in terms of like, okay, now we know how this kind of works. Second rodeo, like we kind of figured it out. We want to have more creative control. Now we want to do the Nintendo things of like, quote, surprising and delighting our fans, and we want to get a little bit more tighter on when we reveal what. And to us, even if Universal maybe doesn't agree, like to us the title is really important, and we want to preserve that surprise. So we don't want to announce it right now. We want to announce that we have a time in mind that we want to tell fans about this, and we want to control that. So I can see them having those kinds of conversations, and sort of really like sharing that with the Universal team. So yeah, it is an interesting thing that now they're in sort of their second phase of this movie entertainment stuff, and this will lead to the Zelda. I'm sure that's going to be like the most complex title ever. It's going to have its own sort of thing for it too, and Nintendo's going to be very controlling over that kind of stuff. So I can just see them getting more and more into the Nintendo way with movies as they are for games. Yeah.
So let's look a little bit at what this could mean for the movie with this as the title. Very interestingly, in the manual for Super Mario World, there is a full page story synopsis, which again, I had completely forgotten about this. This game's quite old, but it
I
goes
was
on.
just playing this on the plane.
You were, yeah.
You saw me. I was
saw
just
that,
playing
yes.
this on the plane like a day ago.
You know, it talks
Incredible.
about how at the end of Super Mario Brothers 3, the whole gang needs a break, so they go to this place called Dinosaur Land for their vacation, but oh my gosh, they go on this big adventure. So, you know, the story of the first Mario movie, it was kind of there, but it was not like super in your face. And I would expect kind of the same of like, yes, there is kind of some trappings of a plot, but in terms of it being like a super story heavy movie, it's probably not going to be that. But it is interesting to know that like, yeah, there is something there for them to work on versus jump on Yoshi, eat berries, shoot fire. There is more than that.
Yeah, I feel like out of all Mario games, this is probably like one of the story heavier ones. Super Mario 2 is a little story heavy too. But but this one it definitely has like this kind of like more almost like a cartoon where you know you have a plot where you meet a new character in Yoshi. This character has a problem where like all of his Yoshi pals have been like kidnapped basically, and you go on like an adventure to save them. Like this is a very sort of like 90s cartoon kind of plot. Um, and it does make for a really good movie foundation, like especially if you look at it as a sequel to the first movie where, you know, at the end of the first movie, they like spoiler alert if you have not watched the first movie, but anyways, at the end of the first movie, they like move to the Mushroom Kingdom, right? So they're like in that world, and you can even see this sort of plot for Super Mario World like literally happening. They like had this big adventure. They moved to the Mushroom Kingdom. Maybe they go on a relaxing vacation, and that's where they meet Yoshi, and then adventure ensues. And the story of Super Mario World is like built out into this big movie thing. And they have so many new characters that they can add. They can add the different Yoshis. They can add the Koopalings, which we have been dying for. This is such like a very logical transition in terms of Mr. Miyamoto's words of broadening Mario's world. Like, yes, this you will do that if you do the plot of this game.
We already knew about Yoshi. That was the post-credit scene for the first movie. But again, knowing that they're going to be on the island where Yoshis are abundant and they come in different colors, like there's a lot of fun things that you could do with that of having, you know, maybe a main Yoshi, but also the green Yoshi, but also all of these other ones who are kind of building out that culture that the Yoshis have. And the Koopalings are so exciting because they have so much personality. And also, you know, I think for them, just from like a movie branding marketing standpoint, it's an opportunity to cast more like big name celebrities of like, oh my gosh, it's name somebody. Oh my gosh, Steve Carell is the voice of Ludwig, and can you believe
Steve
that?
Carell, interesting.
Just
who's Wendy
real fast?
Koopa?
Who's your favorite Koopaling?
My favorite Koopaling is Lemmy. But you have to say it like this, Lemmy.
Yes, and I like Morton.
You like Morton? Who's Morton?
He's a big burly one. He's got.
I know who. I mean, I know exactly.
Who's going to be the voice?
Who's going to be the voice for Morton?
Clearly, either The Rock or Vin Diesel. Clearly,
The Rock as Morton is cute. Wendy Koopa. Get Awkwafina to do Wendy Koopa.
Right. There's also, I mean, a lot of those Koopaling, they were named after musicians of that time. It's probably something Nintendo couldn't get away with today because it's very close. But true. Again, you could see some scenarios like, oh, well, they're honoring that and we're casting musicians to be the voice.
That's so cute.
But again, just from like marketing PR stunt, like, oh yes, this is great. Now look at the incredible cast and all these people that we can have go out on press junkets and do interviews, and we're going to make this is how we're going to get past $1 billion again this time. Broadening the world means broadening the bank account, broadening the money, the money that you make.
The other thing is, in the first Mario movie, you do see one scene where like a bunch of Yoshis run through that little like jungly looking area, and there is like different colored Yoshis there. And they did a great job in the first Mario movie of like really building out the kingdom of the Khans. That was like sort of the big other kingdom beyond the Mushroom Kingdom that they go to, and they like, we really get to see like what the Khans are getting up to. So I can see them like really focusing on like what the Yoshis are getting up to.
Well, that's it. That's an interesting point. It will be a trip to see Donkey Kong integrating with Super Mario World, because Donkey Kong was not a part of that game in any way, shape, or form. I'm fairly certain that he's going to be back as such an integral character now
Right.
for Nintendo. So that'll be an interesting interaction.
Please do
to
not
see.
let Donkey Kong ride the Yoshi, because
he's gonna.
that's animal abuse.
He's gonna.
That's like the elephant. That's like that's like the Mario Wonder elephant on the Yoshi, or like Yoshi's poor little Yoshi is like tearing his ACL in his knees. Like, that's it for the Yoshi.
Yes. There was some wish casting by a lot of fans saying, oh my gosh, we're going to get Wario and Waluigi in this movie. Seems like that is a lot less likely now. And honestly, that seems like a great addition for the third movie.
I don't want it at all.
I don't
Wario,
really want,
yes.
I don't really want Waluigi, but Wario in the third movie
could be fun.
Once we've done all this other stuff as a new kind of antagonist, I like that. I think that could be great.
Yeah. So at the end of the first Mario movie, as a recap, Bowser is tiny. He ate the tiny mushroom. He's in the little cage, and then Mario and Luigi obviously moved to the Mushroom Kingdom. So I can see a plot where like maybe the Koopalings have to like rescue Dad or something like that, and Bowser somehow gets like freed or whatever, or sprung from his little cage.
Let's not have Bowser Jr. though. You're talking about, again, the parenting lineage of all of these characters. Bowser, I don't love Bowser Jr.
Who is Bowser Jr.'s mom?
They probably will do that though. They probably will introduce.
Will they answer that
Koopalings
question?
And Bowser Jr. Yeah, I just got kind of slightly less hype thinking of that.
Who is the mom of all of these little Rugrats here?
I don't want to. I keep my mind out of the gutter.
Maybe they'll invent a new character.
No, do not do that. The other implication, again, is
I love this.
You're right that in the end of the movie, they're in the Mushroom Kingdom. And the first movie had so much back and forth between the real world in New York and then going into the Mushroom Kingdom. And that was frankly a lot more interesting than I was kind of expecting it to be. Of like, oh yeah, like Mario IRL before he moves over. That's pretty cool. But I just don't know how much time they're going to have for that setting now if you're starting in one place and then you're going to the world of Super Mario World, and that's presumably where the most time is going to be. It feels like that's maybe the odd setting out in that case.
I think so too. I think that's why they had the very specific scene at the end of the first movie where they're like, they have moved to the Mushroom Kingdom. Like they never felt like they fit in like sort of the real world. They always felt like sort of Mario and Luigi sort of felt like outcasts a little bit, and they've found their place in the Mushroom Kingdom. So I can see the entirety of the Super Mario World movie taking place within the constraints of the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, again, exploring this new world of Yoshi's Island, but kind of maybe moving between the Mushroom Kingdom and Yoshi's Island versus the real world and Yoshi's Island. Although that last scene where you do see the Yoshi egg, that post-credit scene, it was in the real world.
Yes, it was kind of in the sewer.
It was in the sewer.
Right.
So they might have to have some kind of way of porting the Yoshi or something.
Don't mess with my continuity in the Super Mario Brothers movie. It must be as realistic as possible. It must be maintained as purely as possible.
Yes.
So when might we learn more about this movie? We got past Mario Day this year. It came and went. There was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We have pointed out, though, that the action... So we're in the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers now, this year. But as far as a more specific date for that, that is in September.
Mm-hmm.
And for the original Mario movie, we remember it was around New York Comic Con was the time that they started putting out trailers, and there were a number of teasers that led up to that. So it does feel like September could be a potential option for Nintendo and the studio to put, just to start something. It doesn't have to be like, this is going to be the first trailer, but again, to put out like a poster with the title.
Mm-hmm.
They have so many waves of hype and press and conversation that they can introduce with this. They will probably tear it out to have the big release in April and be one of the biggest movies of 26.
I totally think that's a great timeline for them. By September, everything would have kind of settled a bit with the whole Switch 2 stuff, and you're kind of in between like the big holiday push for games. So tying it to the anniversary seems to make so much sense. They can do something again with Mr. Miyamoto and Chris Meledandri and like sort of tease out some kind of information. And then, next year into 2026, they will have another Mario Day before the movie comes
Right.
out. So, throughout that year, they can tease out more stuff and then maybe
More
do like
trailers.
yeah, exactly, more trailers. And then maybe do like a final blowout in March. The movie comes out in April, so that's like about a month before. So that's the perfect time to do like a final, like get hyped, on Mario Day. I feel like that timing would be perfect. And then you roll right into, early April with this movie. And I'm sure it's gonna be like the biggest hit of the year. So no doubt about that.
Sounds good to me. I'm very excited again, even though this is like a very tiny little detail in the grand scheme of everything. Your mind does start to race. And I was like, yeah, I like where this is all heading.
I'm so excited about this. This could not have been a better, a more, exciting thing for me as the world's biggest Super Mario World fan. My favorite game of all time, getting turned into a movie. Now I'm feeling a little like I have so much trust because the first movie was so good that I'm not, as nervous, but I'm like, don't mess this up. This is my favorite game. Don't mess this up. Yoshi's my favorite character. Like, oh my gosh, it better be cute. It better be perfect. But I'm so excited, and yes, now I'm just looking forward to hearing more about this when the time is right. But what a great thing to look forward to for next year. It's awesome. All
Indeed.
right. Well, that was so much fun. Let us know what you think of this little whoopsie reveal that the next Mario movie is called Super Mario World. Tell us your dream casting for Koopalings, for Yoshis. Let us know in the comments. And we're going to wrap this video up and see you later. Bye.
Bye.